In this video, I'm going to walk through the Torso S4, a one-of-a-kind sampler that is such a powerhouse at sound design. Gary! It has some of the quickest and most intuitive workflows for modulation and macros in any hardware device I've seen. And you can run live sound through it, so it's basically a powerful effects pedal as well. Let's get into it. To get a new project, we're just going to go up to the top left, hit Project, New, create New Project, Yes, and hit No. These 4 buttons you'll see are often mapped to actions throughout the UI. These 8 encoders, these knobs at the top, also dynamically link to what's on the screen you'll see. So the Torso S4 has 4 tracks. If we go to track, we can see them right here. And you can actually see the flow of the modules, the material device going into the granular device, going into the filter, the compressor and distortion, and lastly delay and reverb. So let's load a sample into track 1. We'll go to the material device. And actually, if you hit Control, you'll see often, extra menu items, but you can hit Control and then select the device to select a different device. The default is disk, which streams directly off of memory, whereas tape loads up to this buffer and has some other parameters. And then there's also poly. This is great for plugging in a MIDI keyboard via USB or MIDI in and playing some one-shots or loops even. Let's go ahead, load in the disk material. I'm going to go ahead, hit load, and go to my user library here. I have some Splice samples loaded up, and in the drum breaks category, we can start auditioning these by hitting Control and play. I like that one a lot, so we're going to select and load it. And as you can see, there's actually 2 pages of parameters on this device. On the first page, one of the most important is the tempo. So I know it's 130 based off the file name. I'm just going to go ahead and hit play. And you can see it's actually not an even length. I want to actually do maybe 4 measures here for the length. It automatically snaps, which is really awesome. And we can change the tempo with this top left master encoder here. There's this semitones that locks every 12 steps. So that's for dramatic speed difference. There's also a freeze function, a reverse. I really like using the length and start values to kind of make drum break chops. And in fact, that would be a cool parameter to modulate. So we'll go to the modulators on the bottom left, hit mod, and we have 4 modulators. They're based off colors and shapes, which is really cool and visually appealing. And I'll just go to this first modulator, which is random. Now you can select the different types of modulators. They have wave, which you can, shape the wave and skew it. We also have random, which was what we're going to use. We have follow, which follows the envelope, very cool, and a standard ADSR. So let's go to random. And to assign modulation, we're just going to go to the parameter we want, like the length, hold mod, and then take this value. Now, if I want to, and you can see it's already modulating it, this device does a great job of visually telling you what's going on with the sound and workflow. I can actually click into the parameter to make it bipolar or unipolar. So then we can also maybe take the start time a little bit. But this is going to be fast. This is going to be too fast. We can actually go to the modulator now by hitting mod. You can see this device is blue and indicates that it's being modulated. We'll just take the rate down. And if you actually want to go into free, I can actually click in and there's triplet as well. Anytime you see this little icon next to the parameter, that means there's other parameters by clicking in. So I'm just going to take the rate down to maybe 1/2. All right, so let's feed it into the next device, which is the Granular engine. So we can control the pitch of the grains right at the top left, the rate of these. So it's fun to crank this up at a high value. Maybe take the dry wet down a little bit. Then we can shape the grains further with the size and contour. Now, another cool feature of the Torso S4 is the macro system. This perform knob is really awesome. And I think, mapping some of these parameters to some macros would be awesome. So to do that, we just hit perform. If I want to switch which encoder these are being mapped to, I hit control perform and then select either, the knobs or these buttons down here, which I'll show in a second. These are very cool punch-in effects. So I'm just going to go to that top left knob and then go to perform. We're going to take the contour up, the size up, and the dry wet. So now we hit play. One of my favorite features is this temp feature where you can just hold it and then toggle a knob. Once you release temp, it'll go back to its original position. Let's feed this now into the filter, which it's pretty straightforward, has a cutoff. It's state variable slope, so we can do band pass, high pass, throw in some resonance. The coolest feature are these resonant peaks that it can do with the scale and decay parameters. And so if we set it to, say, a minor scale, turn up the decay, listen to this. So that's pure like resonant filter. You can kind of dry wet it, mix it right here. Now in the extreme, this sounds very washed out and has pretty much one sound, that resonant peaky filter, almost like a color-based technique. However, we can dry wet the filter. So we take this down here. And that sounds really nice with drums, especially when we get to the compression stage. So let's modulate this with another modulator. So we'll go to mod 4, which is by default a wave. And we'll take this, of course, the cutoff right here. There's actually a modulation feature on the second panel of the filter parameters. And if you just go over there, the waves parameter does a modulation. And I think the UI and the visual feedback this device provides is top of class. It really shows you what's going on in the workflow. So let's go to the next device, which is the compressor and distortion. Compressing this will be really nice because we've got the filter and the dry signal coming together. You can select the different noise types by, again, pressing in the encoder. We've got bit crush as well as redux. And lastly, we'll go to the reverb and delay. Delay sounds awesome when you go to a high value like 1/64th dotted and crank up the delay amount. Now this would be a good one to map to maybe one of those punch-in controls. So I hit control perform, select this triangle one right here. And then now if I go to perform, hit the delay time up, actually maybe just like this much right here. And the compression here, we're going to take this down. And actually, let's take the filter and map this to a macro. So control perform, actually the bottom left encoder here, and then perform wet. So you kind of get the muscle memory of mapping quickly, but once you get that muscle memory, it's a really fast flow. So now between the triangle, which will throw on the delay, the top macro one, which will throw on the granular, and macro 2, which does the dry wet of the filter, I can get some nice quick variations of this. So. I can also double tap on temp to have it locked. And as you see, once I tap it once, it jumps back to the original positions. Very cool feature. Let's also maybe get the reverb in here. A little, the size, manipulating the size in real time sounds cool. Maybe this would sound cool with an envelope follower. So we're going to go to mod 3 and select it as follow. So now, this will just kind of, let's take this and actually do a negative modulation on it. So let's take the reverb, take it up, and take the modulation and actually do it negative. So we'll go, not unipolar, but. So now it's essentially ducking the reverb when the transients come in. Which sounds better. We can actually then go control perform, maybe hit this second square action. These are the punch-ins, perform, and just take that size up a little bit and the reverb all the way up. So now we've got. So insane. Just one sample, you can get lost in the sauce very quickly. So this is just one track. We can go to other tracks and load in another sound. So let's just go ahead, do a different device control. Let's do the tape device, load in a song starter here. The tape device has this buffer parameter, which is cool for sliding or slipping the waveform and can create some cool sound design effects themselves. So in the mix page, we can add another filter layer to the tracks, control the levels, stop the clips, and actually, if you hit it one more time, we can actually add some compression and do the panning for each track. So I'm going to go ahead, pan this to the left a little bit, and play the tracks. The last core workflow of the torso is the scene area, which allows you to create 128 distinct scenes where each track and buffer and set of effects can be individualized. So, we can copy this by hitting copy scene, go down one, and control copy as paste. So now we have two of the exact same scene. If you hold scene, you can use the two middle action buttons to cycle through them quickly. This is great for live performance. You can assign different effects and modulations for each scene, so it gives you a lot of sound design possibilities. And the S4 can basically transform any sample into a soundscape.
Gary!
I actually think that's a really nice sound. Hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and as always, stay inspired and creative. I'll catch you on the next one.